Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Kenjuan Garnett. I'm pleased to be joined by my guest today, who at age 41 was diagnosed with HIV after being infected by her husband. Since then, my guest has worked to turn an enormous trial into an awesome testimony. She's the founder and CEO of Joe Ray House, a nonprofit organization that empowers people in communities impacted by HIV. You can also add author to her resume with 2 published books, A Woman's Story, Overcoming the Shame of HIV, and We Are All Connected, respectively. I'm pleased to welcome Ms. Ida Byther-Smith to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Pleased to be here.
Thanks again for being here. I can't thank you enough. Your testimony is awesome.
Thank you.
When I read it, heard about it first through another individual and a friend of mine, and when I read about it, I said, "Wow, I got to have this sister on the program." But anyway, let's start from the beginning. Take us back a little bit. For all intents and purposes, a mother and a wife.
Yes.
And then you find that you're HIV positive.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that was my 3rd time being married. So when HIV first come on the market, it was just, I was working at Michael Reese Hospital, so it didn't faze me, because when they first started talking about HIV, they would say gay white men, people on drugs, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So naturally, I didn't fit into the criteria, so I didn't have anything to worry about.
Right.
And besides that, one day I went into one of the doctor's office and I said, "Oh, Dr. Cooper, will you test me today for this HIV stuff? Because by me working in dialysis, I said, some patient might bleed on me." He said, "That's not the way you get HIV." I said, "Okay, how do we get it?" He said, "Have you ever used drugs?" I said, "No." He said, "Your husband ever used drugs?" I said, "No." He said, "Get out of my office." So he sent me on my merry way. That was like in, I think that was like in 88 or 89, but lo and behold, my husband and me separated in 88.
Okay.
And in 91, I had to get another job, to continue the lifestyle that I was accustomed to.
Right.
So that meant I had to work 2 jobs.
Okay.
So I was going to do acutes on the side and going back to another hospital. Well, it was a clinic that I had worked at before.
Okay.
I had to take the HIV test, hepatitis test, and TB test.
Okay.
That's when I found out November the 7th, 1991, that I was positive.
Wow.
And it blew my mind.
So you were just taking a physical for
That's
a
right.
job?
Yes.
No idea?
No idea. Matter of fact, I was so, I think I had a date that day, and I'm like, hurry up, get this over with, And when I took my test and went on out, and 2 weeks later, we didn't have the oral quick and all that stuff we have now. So it took 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from one of the nurses that I work with, and the one that I was going to the clinic to work for. She said, "You need to go on Western and talk to Dr. Johnson." And then she was so cold about it, and I'm like, "Okay, Dr. Johnson, who is this Dr. Johnson?" Oh, Lord. She said, "You just need to go talk to him." And then before she hung up, she said, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, what's going on with her? Why is she sorry? What's happening? So I did go see this Dr. Johnson that day, and he looked at me as if he had saw a ghost. He said, "So you're Ida Byther-Smith?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but your HIV test came back positive." Just all in the same breath. I don't think he even breathed in between it, And I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, no, not me. So I left his office running. I said, this man is crazy. Then I went, before I left, I told him, I said, I'm getting another opinion. He said, you deserve that. So I went on the south side, closer to my house, but far enough away that no one knew me. And I took another test, and there was 2 more weeks of agony. Same results.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. If that wasn't enough, you later find that your husband was living a double life.
Yes, living a double lifestyle.
Could you share?
Okay. Well, after the 3rd test, that's when my grandmother said the chickens came home to roost. That's what you want to call it. I came home, and that was the day that I was displaced. I really was thinking about suicide. And I got a phone call from this young man that was my daughter's godfather. And he said, how did you like the dresses that I bought the baby? I said, I'm not interested in the dresses today. I said, I just come from the doctor. But the 3rd time was some very bad news. So he started asking, well, what was the news? I said, that ain't your business. He said, well, since you won't tell me, let me tell you. He said, the doctor told you was HIV positive. He said, the reason I know is because I told your husband when we got involved that I was infected, and he said it didn't matter. Now, I don't know if you ever had anybody tell you anything. You ever seen a little cartoon picture? Everything just going around. That's the way my mind was going. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was just, I thought I was just going to pass out right there in the middle of the floor. But I couldn't wait to get off the phone. And he went on to proceed to say, I just want you to forgive us for what we did to you.
And this was your daughter's godfather?
This was my daughter's godfather. He said, your husband told me that you was playing around. He said, I've been watching you for the past 2 years. He said, you didn't go any place but to work, church, and back home. And I'm standing there with the phone up to my ear. I wanted to hang the phone up. I couldn't move. I was just frozen, and he just kept talking and talking and talking and talking.
Right.
So I was afraid, too, that he'd been watching me for 2 years.
Wow. And there's more.
Oh, yeah.
There's more. And it's just a truly, truly amazing story. And not only in that aspect, but just the compassion that you have, because, and I'm going to let you tell the story. I'm going to let you tell it. You find this out. You and your husband separate.
We were separated.
You were separated. He falls ill, and you do what?
Well, I come home one night from Toledo, Ohio. Juanita Bynum was there, and I have to say that she was preaching, let go, let God, because I don't think before I went it would have happened. But I went to Bible study that weekend after Labor Day, and I come home, and my husband was standing at my door. And he said, I have no place to go. They robbed my house while I was in Georgia, and I don't know what to do. I said, I got 1 bedroom upstairs, and you can have it.
Wow.
So I moved him in, and a lot of my friends and family called me everything but Ida. But I really didn't see the person that infected me. I didn't think about, getting even. I didn't think all I saw was my friend needed help. And I moved him in, and we stayed in the same place.
You moved your husband back into your home.
Yes.
And he remained there until he passed.
Right.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It wasn't me, that was God.
And that was my next question. God. You took the words right out of my mouth.
That was God.
Because that has to be probably, since this whole J.L. King, Elin Harris thing, probably one of the biggest fears that so many women have. You actually experienced. And to have the compassion. Where did you find the compassion?
I don't know. I think this was something I was born with. It's just that, I had been taught all my life, you do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. And, and I've never been a person to try to get even. I've been mistreated by so many people, but it never crossed my mind to try to get even. I always said, God will fix it. He'll fix it.